Good evening, thank you, Dean. Good evening, everybody. We're gonna call this meeting to order at 7:01. Can I please get a roll call?
Hello.
Don Woodward. Katie Newton.
Here.
Max Sherwood.
Here.
Shauna Manthorn. Here. Kim McCormick.
Here.
Katie Woodward.
Here.
And Paula Kane.
Here.
And Alyssa's excused, she is sick. If everyone can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do we have anybody for student, staff, and family share tonight?
We do. I'd like to introduce Kim Rivers, who's the building leader over at TLC. She's going to very quickly introduce us to kind of what we're going to learn and hopefully engage in tonight, and then most likely turn it over to somebody else as well.
Thank you all very much for having us here tonight. I did invite a family along. I think it's important that you hear from just the parent perspective, a lot of the initiatives that we've been doing in the early childhood program and special education wise as well, kind of bringing programs into the district. So even our youngest learners can benefit from really the best that there is out there to really help them make progress. One of the other things we started doing this year is we have a play group that we're running. First, it was one time a week for an hour. It was going so well that we extended it to an hour and a half, and now we're adding a second session. I have a letter from one of the mothers in the program that I'd like to read to all of you. It definitely says that we invited her in the first group. You know how you want to have your friends, like when you try things out, so if it doesn't go well, you can all be like, oh, okay, that's all right. So our first group of people, we reached out to families that we had prior for younger siblings. So she does say that she was invited. However, it is something that's open to the public. We have a registration. I think it's up on the Timberlane site as well. And it's just meant for families of students who are 2.5 up to 4 or 5 years old who aren't really ready to make that full commitment to having their child go to school for the 2.5 hours, but definitely just kind of want to learn some things about, being a parent and having their child be able to interact with some other kids their age. So it's been going really well. So I'll start with that first, and then I'll introduce the family. Hang on, reading glasses. So this is from Danielle Russell. She is a Sandown resident. Thank you for inviting my daughter and me to participate in the inaugural playgroup session at TLC at Sandown Central. As we approach the start of pre-K next year, we really ramp up conversations about school at home. We talk about making new friends, discovering new activities and experiences, and all of the learning that is possible. We believe the more we talk about school, the easier it is to understand and prepare for what is ahead. This seemed to work wonders as our oldest was eager to start pre-K that she practically jumped out of the car on her first day. Our youngest, however, appears to be hesitant and nervous that pre-K will start in the fall. When we received the invitation to join the first playgroup session with Mrs. Goodman, I jumped at the opportunity. After attending several sessions of this program, I cannot recommend it enough. I believe this program is an excellent addition to our district's offerings. It provides younger children with the opportunity to explore the school alongside a parent. For my child, this experience is invaluable in helping her feel comfortable with the idea of being at school in the future and helps prepare her for what lies ahead. She eagerly asks each morning, "Is it a playgroup day?" as she is excited to see her teacher and play with new friends. She will even announce, "That's my school," proudly each time we drive past it. She loves sharing her playgroup experiences with our family and already seems more confident with the concept of attending school on her own next fall. I hope this program becomes a permanent offering for our district. I can see its benefits in my daughter already, and I'm sure many other families will agree once they have had a chance to participate. Best regards, Danielle Russell. So thank you very much for letting me read that. And without further ado, and I hear him wanting to be part of the conversation, we have Mr. and Mrs. Weiss. Come on down.
Hey, welcome, folks.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope so. Oh, there you go. Well, you had to go first.
And I also want to say, typically, I think like Michael may be almost in bed, so I do appreciate him up for this.
Thank you.
And Also, just for the opportunity for us to participate, because our learners most likely are in bed right now. So we just wanted to showcase like another side of the educational perspective. So thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you very much, Kim. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
My name's Lindsay Bleich. This is my husband, Matthew. And we've come before you to speak about the TLC special education program today. I've lived in Atkinson for most of my life. I grew up here, I went to school here, and I'm raising my children here. I was a Timberlane student, and I graduated from the district in 2001. Don't do the math. I'd like to introduce you to my youngest son, Michael. Can you say hi?
Say hi.
Hi, Michael. He's like, I see
Seeing himself
myself
on
on the
TV.
TV.
That's what you're gonna get, yeah?
It's okay.
Michael's 4.5 years old. He was born with autism 2 weeks after the COVID shutdown. To say that we've had a difficult time getting services for him in his short life is an understatement. In addition to autism, Michael is pre-verbal. He has ARFID, which is avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, and he's an eloper, meaning that he'll run away at a moment's notice. Pre-verbal plus elopement equals a child who can get lost in the woods and never be found. A child who could be kidnapped and never heard from again. I don't think I need to tell you how scary it is to live with the knowledge that your child is in more danger than the average kid every single day. Michael has access to full-time ABA therapy with a company called ABA Centers of America. They diagnosed him with autism after I was unsuccessful in getting Easter Seals, Pyramid Kids, and pediatric therapy centers to evaluate him for it. At ABA Centers, he has a small team of RBTs, registered behavioral technicians, and a lead BCBA, board-certified behavioral analyst. In short, the BCBA oversees the RBTs and writes programs for Michael that are run by the RBTs. The programs are short, simple requests of Michael designed to strengthen specific desired behaviors. I won't bore you with the details which brought me to the school district for Michael at such a young age, mostly because we don't have time for that. What I would like to talk to you about is how access to special education programs like the one offered at TLC will change not only Michael's life, but the lives of other children in the district. In the beginning, we contacted the district to discuss setting up an IEP for Michael. My request for services was sent to Kim Rivers, early childhood coordinator for the Timberlane School District and building administrator of the Sandown Central School. From there, a series of meetings ensued to determine Michael's status. In other words, he had to meet the criteria of the school district for autism to qualify for services. Once it was determined that he qualifies, we had another series of meetings to determine exactly what his needs are and what the district can offer based on those needs. When all was said and done, we were close to the end of the 2023-2024 school year, and we were thrilled that we've been welcomed with open arms and felt very supported through the process by Kim and her team. Michael would start half-day pre-K in the fall. Around halfway through July, Matt and I started to panic. Would Michael be able to participate in his class without ABA support? Would a paraprofessional be enough? Would he behave in such a way that the children in class would be undisturbed? Would he elope during recess and end up lost in the woods? Would someone forget to hold his hands while exiting the bus, ending an elopement into the busy street and an unthinkable accident? Questions like these are some that every parent thinks about when they first send their child off to school. But for parents who have a child with special needs like Michael, a neurodivergent child who doesn't understand safety the way that others do, doesn't understand rules like others do, for a child like Michael, the world is full of unknown. His future is clouded. It was at this point that we were losing sleep. We decided it would be best to contact Kim again and find out if we could arrange for Michael's RBT from his full-time ABA therapy to be with him during the day. Kim contacted us with some interesting news. A new program was available within the school utilizing an in-house ABA therapy group called NEC. If we chose to enter Michael in the program, there would be full-time RBT to assist a child like Michael, and skeptical like most parents in our situation would be, we had a few questions for Kim. Ever the proficient and professional administrator, she was readily available to answer. Not only would Michael be provided with a full-time one-to-one RBT who would be on site at all times, but he would also be provided with transportation to and from the school. Every day he would have lunch with his peers. He would spend half of his day in a peer inclusion classroom, which is a fancy way of saying he'd join his class in pre-K. And they would also work with him on potty training, which is the big transition that he's going through right now. Kim further explained that he would continue having support with speech and occupational therapy on site through the school day. One last question, Kim, we said. Would we be able to remove him from this program if it doesn't work out? What if he's not successful here like he is at his current ABA program? The answer of yes sealed the deal for us. We would try the program and see what kind of progress Michael could make. Fast forward to the beginning of the school year, and after the newness jitters went away, we noticed leaps and bounds of progress in Michael's learning. He came home singing new songs and making motions and signs that we'd never seen before. He was being more social with his older siblings, making eye contact with us. He was making progress with potty training too, starting to actually go on the potty and coming to us dry and clean more often. If you're a parent, you understand. This is a big deal. He was even starting to sleep more consistently and sometimes even a full 10 hours. He was actually following verbal directions and would physically stop when asked. He wanted to participate when his siblings played a game or chased each other around, jump on the trampoline. He started to mock our behavior and words in a good way, which led to a few instances of shock from us as parents. Things he'd never said before or done before became prominent, and things he'd never showed interest in were suddenly requested. We saw our little boy blossom almost overnight. All this to say, we see the benefits of this program. We live with the benefits on a daily basis. Not only do we believe that Michael is living proof, but we believe that the result of this program, and starting it so early in childhood development will have a ripple effect. When the children in this program have progressed to middle and high school, they will have coping strategies for emotional situations. They will have the ability to say, or at least tell us, hey, I'm overwhelmed and I need a break. They will be productive in school and tolerant of things that they have difficulty with now. We're lucky with Michael. He's considered to be easy as far as neurodivergence goes. There are children who cannot keep their hands to themselves, who cannot emotionally regulate. When those children get into high school, they have no way of behaving as expected and will disrupt educational and social situations. We truly believe that behavior resolution improves outcomes for all students, and that resolution begins in pre-K with ABA, speech, and occupational therapies. If it weren't for Kim Rivers and her request for us to join the program, Michael would not have made as much progress as he has. She has truly been a wonderful light in the darkness and a true leader for these parents who weren't exactly sure where they were going. I believe it's a combination of the Sandown Central staff, one-to-one ABA support with NEC, and after-school sessions with ABA centers, and the exposure to other neurotypical and neurodivergent children in his age group that has been the magic sauce. For every child, the road will look different, but every family in our district deserves the chance to experience the results that we have. Thank you for your time and consideration, and if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Well, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for pushing the boundaries of bedtime. But I know with special needs children especially, their routines are key as well. But thank you so much. I'm glad that you all have had this opportunity, and it's definitely the teachers and the staff really make a difference for those children. But Jack, go ahead.
First of all, thank you for coming and sharing that with us. It must have taken quite a bit of courage to come in, but first I want to know, you sound like great parents.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that is just so great. But this is something we should all be proud of. This is a Timberlane proud moment for me, okay? Because this touches me deeply. But anyways, I wish you the best of luck, and thank you for coming in again.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. It's kind words. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you, because this was huge, and I don't think a lot of people understand that if you have a neurodivergent child, it's real. What do you do, or are they going into a typical learning environment, and how does that work, and what does that look like? And just to know that you guys had the experience that you had with Kim, I think that's fantastic. And so if you guys were to find that you don't like it, what happens then? What happens if he's not thriving, or what happens for both the school district, because he is one of us, right? So he's part of our district. So how does that work if he needs to go someplace else, and what does that look like for you guys?
he would probably end up back at his ABA Centers of America program full-time. He was going 40 hours before the school year started. And we would probably push him back to that. And we would probably just keep working with him there. And maybe add additional services elsewhere, like speech, occupational therapy, food therapies. And then once we felt like he was ready, we could either try it again next year, or we would wait until first grade, and then we would have his ABA Centers team come with him every day to school. They would just go with him either to public school, or where other kids go, they go to a charter school. So
Oh, okay, so they would be, you would be able to have somebody that he would be comfortable with coming with him into our
Yes,
school
the
district.
young man that's with Michael today is Mercedes. He's his primary
yeah, he's my
RBT.
primary.
Thank you for
So he
being
comes to
here.
the house 5 nights a week. So I want to recognize I consider us fortunate to have a backup plan.
Yeah,
So
that's,
we
right.
are fortunate. We recognize that where not everybody does have that. So that was kind of our fallback plan, if you will.
yeah,
And thankfully we haven't needed it.
Right.
You know, he's like as Lindsay said, he has thrived
Right.
in this program.
it's incredible.
To go from not saying a word from not even in the ABA program a year ago to singing, dancing, making eye contact, just drawing circles on the board. That was not possible. We didn't think that was possible even 6 months ago.
Wow,
So it's been a tremendous thing for him.
that's great.
Speech-wise, it's been significant.
Yeah.
ABA Centers of America doesn't necessarily have somebody who specifically does speech. So having somebody on staff at the school who can take him twice a week and works with him with speech for half an hour at a time, it gives him a nice chunk specifically devoted to speech. And we've seen him thrive at verbalization immensely.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Yes.
Can I just say two things? One, the special ed administrator in me just needs
Yes.
to say that if Michael, wasn't making progress, or really if any child, we would come back and we would have an IEP team meeting, and we would be looked to see what else we could do in the current placement that we have. It's happened a few times over my 21 careers, but 21 years in how long career. In education, that sometimes just the public school system is just does not have the resources to meet the needs of a child. And that's when we would be looking at out of district placements. And there's a process involved in that, and the parents are a big part of that process. But fortunately, with the NECC partner program, we really, I don't think we're gonna have to look at that, for Michael. And that was one of the questions you guys had, even when we just initially started talking, like what happens if public school system doesn't work?
Right.
And even though in my heart, in my mind, I'm like, we got this, like Michael is easy, like you said.
Yeah.
Just still talking you guys kind of through that process, and just letting you know that there's always options. But our hope is that we can always just have the kids, stay with us. And to what you said, I do attribute this to the school board, because almost 2 years ago, you as a school board decided to change the principal position at Sandown Central to the early childhood coordinator position. So I love how you used my name in there, but I feel like if I was a different person, you would be saying that different person's name, because I think it's the role and not me. I think the role really shows that you care a lot and value early childhood, not only from that developmental level, just students through our preschool program and pre-K program where parents can tuition themselves in, but also that you look for a candidate who had special education knowledge as well to help families get off on kind of the right foot and realize that you are a part of the team and know you're a part of the team and not have to fall into the, oh my gosh, we're going in for an IEP meeting, we need to fight. So I thank you guys, for creating the position. So I agree. Thank you.
Yep, great. And then Shauna, did you want to say something?
I just had a quick question about I believe you said the early pre-K or partial pre-K. I'm not sure what it was called, sorry. But let's say someone is planning on homeschooling their children. Could they potentially attend one of these sessions?
For the play group? Yeah, definitely. Yep, and that's
You said it was-
families that we're hoping to reach out to as well. So 2.5 up until 5, just because we're that early childhood setting, and really by a time, the child is 6, they would be in the public school setting or homeschooled. And really, I feel like our resources are just outside of that range. We're a little bit just before that piece. But no, definitely, because it's just, we want to get as many families as we can to be able to, come in and start to experience some of the things that we can do. And, with the play group, we can have the occupational therapist come in, and it's not therapy, but it's just like, hey, parents, when you're at home, why don't you think about doing this? Same thing with the speech and language pathologist. And it's just been really nice for the parents to see other parents whose kids may struggle, because sometimes I think there's like strength in numbers, and it's like, oh, this is a 3-year-old thing, this isn't a my kid thing. And for some families who can't afford the tuition, it still gives them an opportunity to come in and benefit from some of the services that we can offer.
Shauna.
I just want to say thank you for allowing us to partner with you in educating your child. I'm an OT by trade, and so it's really important to, that cliche of it takes a village to raise a child. I fully embrace that in my professional life, and I know I do that as a parent myself, that I appreciate, when other people may need to step in and fulfill a role with our kiddo that I necessarily can't do. And I know that you guys have done so much work for your child, and allowing us to partner with you and take a piece of that for you is very brave. So thank you so much. And thank you for coming to share with us. And he is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to add to that it does take a lot of trust, but we do have trust. And Kim was what she was saying earlier, just kind of a little modest. Honestly, when you're on these parenting groups for kids with neurodivergence on social media, they talk to you about IEP meetings and how dangerous they are and how you almost like have to bring a lawyer to them. Like, not every district is taking care of their people in that way. And when we met Kim, if she wasn't who she is, I feel like it could have gone a different way. She's truly, I mean what I said in here, like she's truly a leader, and she truly has stepped up for us, for sure, in a big way. And we appreciate that, because we realize not everybody is getting that.
And we're not nervous when we go into these IEP
Yeah.
meetings. It's fun. We have a great time. We laugh, but there's also business to be taken care of. So we walk out of there all just today, smile on our face, because we know he's being taken care of. So, a lot of trust.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Told you I was excited for tonight.
I just want to add one more thing, kind of ride your coattails, my love. And that early intervention is super important. Where we have spoken to many parents who have neurodivergent children, and some say we didn't get a diagnosis till 7, 9, 12, even a teenager. And the earlier the better, because the later you get it, it's exponential in the learning and the teaching and the services. So
And the habits are there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The way that they're dealing with things is they come to the conclusion that this is the only way to deal with it, or get my way. But with healthier habits and healthier coping mechanisms, it's fantastic.
So having the NEC program has been
Fantastic.
tremendous in catching and being early, the early intervention.
Well, I'm glad that you guys that you came here tonight. Our job as the school board is to remove roadblocks for students, and also to put people in positions that know what they're doing and can get the job done. I believe this board that we have done that, we are seeing that. So thank you all again for coming.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
me.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Michael.
you so much.
And Mercedes. Thank you for being here.
Years ago, and it's like you see it come to fruition. It's really nice. Yeah, good. I'm saying, right people are all right. We'll let them get their stuff collected, and then we'll start again in just a minute.
I know.
Got a tough act to follow.
I know.
All right. Next up is going to be our student rep.
Perfect. Alrighty, I'll start off. So our town is actually kicking off tonight. So they have their first show this evening at the high school, a Friday night show and 2 shows on Saturday. So it's going to be a really nice play to go and see. I hope to see it. The National Honor Society at the high school had their first day of kindness yesterday morning, dressing up in yellow to take their yearbook photo, and then proceeded to head to all entrances of the high school to hand out positive notes and uplifting messages. So Rho Kappa is preparing their field of flags for Veterans Day, taking time after school yesterday to put the individual flags up honoring the veterans in front of the electronic high school sign. The Historical Honor Society also will be holding a breakfast on Veterans Day, providing free food and drink to the people who serve our country, allowing them to share their stories and having a guest speaker as well. So also for the high school, the quarter ended yesterday and grades will be finalized on November 13th. Winter sports are starting soon as well, and open gyms will be beginning in the weeks to come, such as wrestling and girls basketball. So informational meetings have already been held for all the sports for incoming athletes to be aware of the commitment and the plans. Also, 43 seniors saved on New Hampshire college application fees by applying to in-state schools via Apply NH on October 24th. And a little bit of recap from Spirit Week. The senior class proved to be victorious in the lip sync, mural painting, flag football, and canned food drive. Well, yeah, it's sweet. While the sophomores won the cooking contest and juniors with the relay race. So we did snag one in there. But so for sports, little sports update. There are a lot of great things happening. So girls soccer did make it to the semis, but had a tough battle against Pinkerton, losing 1-0. But boys and girls cross country competed at the D2 state meet on Saturday, October 6th, with amazing performances all around. And I was fortunate to have qualified to compete at the Meet of Champions, so that was really cool to represent Timberlane and have fun at that. But then this Sunday, cheer also has their competition coming up, tackling states after achieving another victory at Concord, placing first. Moving on to the elementary schools. So all the elementary schools had their Halloween parades. Really nice weather, so shout out to like the PT, like all the parents and friends who came to see them and make it a huge success. At TLC at Sandown Central, so thank you for the PTA for creating the jack-o'-lantern scavenger hunt. So students enjoyed looking around the classrooms and hallways for the jack-o'-lanterns that had rolled away from the pumpkin patch. Another thank you for the PTA for providing delicious sandwiches and salads for the teachers to kind of recharge during parent-teacher conferences that took place. And then finally, a letter about upcoming Alistro will be sent out to the families soon. At Sandown North, students and staff enjoyed the Tiger presentation on November 6th. This was a musical production about the importance of being true to oneself and the difference between being an upstander and a bystander. So Plymouth State students presented these important concepts through theater and music and dance as they taught the students to really care about themselves and others. The after-school enrichment sessions also continue as students enjoy the art club, board game club, and STEAM club. So congratulations to Beth Sommers, Sandown's North Tech teacher. She is a recent recipient of the NH Robotics Education Grant as well. At Pollard School, the PTA hosted its first trunk or treat for the community, and they had a great turnout and a lot of fun, so a lot of shout out to them. At Danville, the Student Council is planning a Spirit Week for November 12th to the 15th to recognize Kindness Week. They have also been collecting clothing to support the Epilepsy Foundation of New Hampshire and boxes of cereal to support the New Hampshire veterans. A lot of updates from Atkinson Academy as well. So the Atkinson Fire Department will be visiting on November 7th and 8th, presenting to students from K through 5 grades. They'll be talking about safety and fire safety, along with some grades getting tours of the varied safety vehicles. The Ladybug book readings will be also happening over the upcoming week, with guest readers from the community reading the books to all the classes. The Ladybug Picture Book Award is designed to promote early literacy and honor the best in recent children's picture books. Librarians from around the state select 9 picture book titles, and that happens each spring. So then during November, New Hampshire children from preschools to those in 3rd grade choose the award winner, so very interactive. The Student Council at Atkinson has a food drive, so it started on November 4th and is going to take us into the 14th. And then they have some cool clubs going on, which one includes Lego Robotics Club. So children will really use this as an opportunity to learn how and why people like explore the oceans. And during this season, children will be exploring the theme and ideas of creating solutions, testing them out, and ultimately changing them, and then kind of sharing what they've learned. And then Girls Who Code is a really great opportunity. This is a club space where girls in grades 3 through 5 can join a sisterhood of supportive peers and use computer science to kind of change the world in their community. Girls compete in the fun and simple online coding tutorials, and they build a community through these interactive activities with the rest of the club. So they'll learn how to code while using these fun little techniques that they can share with their friends and family. And then to wrap up at the middle school social studies classes are excited to show appreciation for the local veterans as well. So they will be working on a flag display outside of the middle school that will be shown to all. And then TRMS students and staff got their first little treat of the holiday with the spooky concert. The event included performances by the high school and the middle school orchestras, as well as Timberlane Tornadoes varsity cheer squad. And it was ultimately just a great morning to celebrate the accomplishments as a Timberlane community. And that is a little bit of an update from the district. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations on qualifying.
Yeah, very
Thank you so
good.
much.
Great, next.
Oh.
Way to go, Don. All right, delegates and individuals. We have Lindsay, and I'm not even gonna try to say your last name.
That was your parent chair.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. Guess they- okay, never mind. Did we have any other delegates and individuals at this time? All right, can I get a motion to move the 30 minutes to the end of the meeting?
So done.
Moved by Mark. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Shauna. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. All right, so we have some approval of the minutes. We have regular meeting minutes, public minutes, and then I believe we have a section of non-public. So we'll do the public first and then we'll do non-public.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the minutes from the 10/17 meeting.
Motion to approve. Who seconded real quick? Me. Kim. We got a second by Kim. Any other discussion on the October 17th meeting minutes? All those for? Oppose and abstain. 2 abstentions. Okay. Next you have non-public meeting minutes in front of you.
I make a motion to accept the non-public meeting of October 17th.
A motion by Jack. Do I have a second? Second by Bree. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstain. 602. All right, yeah, just passes back.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. All right, first up on current business is our psychology curriculum revision for the high school. Hello, hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening, Mark.
So I come before you again with the executive summary and all the curriculum documents for the high school psychology curriculum revisions. Once again, this went through 2 rounds at curriculum and assessment, and per protocol, we bring it through 2 reads at the board. So at this time, we're just looking to see if you have any questions about the curriculum revisions.
And no changes, correct, from the last time?
Correct.
Does anybody have any questions, Mr. Patterson, on this?
No.
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion to accept and adopt the second read of the TRHS psychology curriculum revisions?
So moved.
Motion by Bree,
No, second.
seconded by Kim. Any discussion? All those in favor? Oppose and abstain. 8-0. All right,
Thank you very much.
easy.
No grass?
All right, Medicaid billing provider.
Medicaid billing provider. So I would be happy to present the executive summary from Dr. Martin to you. It's
Okay.
page 31 of your packet. Just to summarize, what is there for you is MSB is the name of our current provider. We're making a request to the board that we break that contract and we engage with Relay to become our provider. A couple of reasons for that. MSB has been a provider for a long time, going back to pre-COVID. They were returning dollars to the district at a really good level. At one time, we were getting $600,000 back in terms of reimbursements for student services. Since then, MSB has been sold. It's gone through a lot of upheaval in terms of its personnel, and has become less and less productive for us in terms of generating that level of rebate. You can see there the last time, the 23-24 school year, that number had gotten back to $142,000 from its peak at $600,000, and also very difficult customer service to continue to try to verify and to correct any of the errors on their end. This is a building trend across the state of New Hampshire. This is what we see a lot of districts moving toward. We're out on the front of that right now. We do know that there is a very small penalty of upwards of maximum of $25,000 to break the contract. Our analysis says that we're going to make that back up in terms of the benefit of having a more productive provider over the course of the life of that time. So we'd ask for your permission to cancel that current engagement and then begin engaging with Relay.
Agree. Yeah. So why was Relay chosen and were there any other options?
Say that twice again.
Why was Relay chosen and were there any other options?
There are very limited options in this space. Relay has had a really good review with some of the school districts that are working with them now, and then engaging and sitting with them. Dr. Martin and both Kelly Brooks were heavily involved in those conversations, trying to troubleshoot. This is the personnel that they feel the most comfortable with.
Any other questions? Someone want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to terminate our contract with MSB and engage Relay as our new Medicaid billing provider.
A motion to have a second?
Second.
Second by Shauna.
Any other questions or discussion for this? All right, all those in favor? Opposed? And abstained. All right.
Thank you for that support. ECBA budget transfer, I'll also be happy to present that to you. It's also page 32 of your packet, and it's timely in terms of hearing from the NEC program earlier as well. So what we're looking to do is that we had a position in the salary for a psychological intern. It's been very, very difficult for us to be able to provide or find somebody and secure somebody like that. We were really hoping that position was going to be able to help us train some staff in writing some BCBA plans and behavior plans for non-identified students under the sphere of Ginger's influence from the Director of Student Services. We'd like to take those funds allocated for that position with that purpose and move them into a contracted service provider that we can contract with Ceresk, who is our currently provider that way, and we can get some 160 hours of professional training in here with a trainer model, so we can educate some of the folks at the school level, so then we can build out the capacity and provide the behavior supports for the students. Again, non-identified students, primarily at the elementary level here.
Any questions? Seems pretty. Yep, Bree, go ahead.
So I just want a clarifying question.
Sure.
So we are looking to utilize funds for a current empty position
Correct.
and train our own faculty in that.
To contract with a vendor to come in, yes, and train our faculty.
So that then we would have the service without needing that continued supported funds in the future.
Yes, most likely, but we're also building that into the budget through Ginger's budget as well for continued services. Yes, for this level of support, there are other tiers of support where we may need people to work directly with the students that have the certified license versus someone who's been trained in a trainer model. But this is the first step toward more increased tier 1 universal support for kids.
Yes, Jack.
So how long does this training take?
It's not about the length of time. We would contract for what we can believe. This price here would get us 160 hours of contact time with the experts coming in.
Okay, that's what I was driving at. Thank you.
Any questions? Anyone want to make a motion?
Make a motion to accept the budget transfer request
Specified in the special education budget transfer dated November 7th, 2024. Do I have to say the amounts?
Maybe.
Is this the correct motion right here? February 1st?
Yes.
Okay. Why am I saying February 1st?
You said February 7th.
Actually, you said November.
I know, wouldn't I say today's date?
There's a typo there.
That's why I said today's date?
Your highly competent enough, I think you can make the motion.
Wow.
Budget transfer maybe as indicated in the table on the executive summary.
There we go.
Isn't that what I did?
Yep.
Okay.
Motion's
Do I-
been made by Shauna to accept the budget transfer
Sorry.
as stated in the table.
See what happens when we skip a meeting week?
I'll second that. Oh,
No,
that's
Mark beat you.
twice.
Mark beat you. All right, seconded by Mark. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained. All right, cool.
Sandy and I apologize if we missed something.
No. It just says that it's specified in the special education budget transfer requested dated February 1st,
Oh,
2024.
gotcha. I see.
But I read today's date because I knew that was a typo.
Got it. Understood.
so good.
See, she's on it.
Sometimes.
Today you are. All right, position title change. Who is presenting this?
This is Fran.
Hi, Fran.
Evening.
Hi, Fran.
So, apologize for the late executive summary, we had to get something straightened out with legal. We hire a bunch of high school students to help during the summers.
Yeah.
They help with the custodians, and we actually had one student that wanted to come work with us during the school year. So we wanted to kind of change the title from summer help to youth assistant custodian. That way it's not seasonal in nature, we could use it through the whole school year if we wanted to.
Okay.
So that's really the only reason for the change.
So again, it's a current program, you're just changing the name, so they can do it year round.
Sorry, discussion.
No,
Sorry.
Bree?
Can I discuss first?
Well, technically, we should make a motion in a second and then we discuss it, but semantics. Go, Bree.
So I know I believe have some custodian positions open currently. We were short staffed, so this could potentially help in filling those.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, it'll definitely help fill in some of the work.
Okay, go for it, Mark.
Any other discussion?
Make the motion.
I'll make the motion to accept the title change of facilities summer help to youth assistant custodian.
Do you have a second?
I was second.
Bree seconded. Jack, what discussion do you have?
Thank you. Do you think that should be facilities assistant? Because custodian, I mean, don't some of those kids that work in the summertime are out on the grounds and?
Most of the time they do custodial work, but.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just, I
That's a
thought
good
it would
question.
be a little.
That's a great
more-
but certainly, I mean, we can make it more generic if we want.
I just asked the question because I wanted to take up some of the board's time.
What's new? All right, there's been a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Yes,
So
Bree, go for it.
does a custodian do facilities work? I guess is my question.
Custodians do they're part of
groundswork.
facilities. So we have groundsmen that actually do groundwork. And then we have maintenance that do maintenance work.
So
I
we,
want to
so we should
suggest make it
broaden
more
it
generic.
in
That's
case
all.
we go both.
I'm cool with that.
I will retract my motion
I
and
retract
make,
the second.
Hold up, too many people talking at once. All right, Mark retracted his motion. Bree retracted her second.
I would like to make another motion to accept the title change of facilities summer help to youth facilities / custodian assistant. It's being written down 5.
What was that title, Mark?
Motion to accept the title change of facilities summer help to youth facilities / custodian assistant.
Motion.
Second that.
All right, Bree seconded that motion. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained. Okay. Thank you, Fran.
Thanks, Fran.
All right, we got some policies. Policy EG, creation of communication plan. Does anybody on policy committee want to speak to this policy?
Yes, sorry.
No, you're fine.
You sound so enthused.
I'm so sorry. So, before I came here to the board, there was a lot of legwork and involvement in this, so there is no changes at this time.
Okay.
But the board has seen this. This is policy EG, which is a creation of a communications plan.
This is for second read and adoption.
Yes, so we're looking for a motion for a second read and adoption.
So moved.
Jack made the motion to accept for second read adoption, policy EG. Is there a second?
A second.
Shauna seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. Okay. And then again, next thing up is just another informational, again, this will be another running thing for us up until deliberative and voting. These are all of our current warrant articles. Justin, you want to say anything about this?
Yeah,
at this time?
we have some initial legal feedback from Drummond Woodsum, and I'd be happy to present it to you tonight.
Yep.
I think that the first one I would want to talk through is the tax cap.
Yep.
In terms of where things lie with that, it is certainly a lawful article and will be put forward. It will require a 3/5 majority. It can be modified, of course, at the deliberative session in terms of the degree of percentage. There are a few districts in New Hampshire that operate under a tax cap. I've made some contact with one, and myself and Maria are going to spend some time talking through their experience and what it has looked like practically for them. We're also connected with some districts that have had warrants appear that have been defeated also by the voters as well, and I want to kind of connect with those districts and learn from those experiences. But Jim's certain recommendation is like we would need to have some degree of connection and meeting between the legal and the board, so we could have some real clear understanding of what the impact of certain numbers would be in that percentage for the district moving forward.
Bree?
When you say other schools have a tax cap, do you have a number?
I'm
of
aware
what
of
that
one
cap
right now.
is?
Do I know what no, I do not
What
know
their
what their cap is
percentages
now.
are?
No, I do not.
Did they said how it's affected them?
Not yet.
Okay. Mark?
In speaking with our attorney, were you able to ferret out the question that 2.5% is inclusive of current obligations we have with our, for example, unions?
Yes, it would be fully inclusive. That 2.5% would include any increases due to warrant or previous voted warrant articles.
So my interpretation from that, please correct me if I'm wrong, about 80% of our expenditures are on our people, salaries and benefits. And if we're contractually obligated to, say, have a 3% increase in salary and provide them with health insurance, which we know is going to increase 11%, that's a huge delta to make up.
Which is why the initial kind of conclusion here is it's objectively low. It would make it impossible to have the district function.
Yeah.
So in other words, we would be, things that we were contractually obligated to would have to keep, but then we'd start have to cutting everything else that to keep it under 2.5 if it passed.
Yeah, yes, my understanding is there is no further authority to raise and appropriate any funds beyond whatever the cap would signify. There's also been some change in New Hampshire law that has strengthened the language of the statute of that cap, is looking to tie it to also enrollment as well, which has some other challenges and questions down the road for us to consider. But again, the next step I think is to educate about what those numbers mean. And I think the way to do that is to talk with your legal counsel and get some direction about, get some sense of mapping out about the impact of particular numbers at that level. But it is certainly a lawful warrant.
Is that something we could set up to?
Yes, so the plan would be for our legal to come here and actually have a PowerPoint presentation that we could also put on the district website for educational purposes as well.
Thank you.
Yes, Mark.
Might we want to make that more open and available, perhaps in a setting, and I know kind of
Do it at
hitting a
the
hornet's
PAC.
nest now, but do it at the PAC. So people that are interested in wanting to know the ramifications, in my mind, the math would only work out with personnel cut. I think the public would be interested in hearing that directly. Is that something this board would have an interest in entertaining doing?
I think anytime that we could welcome the public to come and speak with the experts on this and like what the true impact would do, I think it would be a very good idea. Jack?
I could be, in my mind, I think we gather all the data, get all the information from legal, have our meetings, so this way here, when we do present, I think this needs to be done sooner than later. But in other words, I wanna have our ducks in a row, so when we do have that meeting, say maybe at the PAC, which I think would be meaningful and important, that all the information is there. Like,
Oh,
this has
absolutely.
been thought through and
Oh, yeah.
and examined, and so I see maybe a preliminary meeting with legal. Am I going down the wrong road here?
When it comes to, when it gets to the point of it being presented to us and ultimately the taxpayers, everything will be vetted. All rocks will be overturned and looked at, like it will be a complete conclusive analysis on it. with information given.
I think a good opportunity perhaps, and maybe a suggestion is that we have an upcoming joint meeting scheduled with BudCom as the
Yes.
school board and BudCom. It's December 16th. That could be an opportune time that you've got both organizing bodies together and we can all hear the same information, because the point of that meeting is to discuss the budget impact of warrant articles, and that's precisely what we would be doing.
Point of clarification, December
Yes.
19th.
Sixteenth?
I thought it was 16th.
Is it Monday or is it Thursday?
Monday
It's a Monday.
Oh, it's
Oh.
Monday.
What?
I think it's a
Tell me
Monday.
about that one.
Actually, we just got an email about it.
Yeah, and the email said the 16th.
Yeah. We'll get
We'll
clarification
get
on when that
clarification
date.
on the date, yeah.
So, all right, any more questions? And this, again, if people that are following along, this is Article 9 that we're currently talking about. Is there any other questions about Article 9, the 2.5% tax cap? Not yet. All right, Justin, go ahead.
Article 10, I think, is the lease
Purchase agreement.
the lease purchase agreement in front of you. Wanted to share with you feedback there initially is that yes, it is a lawful petition. It's governed by RSA 33:7-E, which looks at any multi-year lease agreements. Ours does, as stipulated by law, include a non-appropriation clause, so it spells it out in the master lease agreement. What it exactly spells out, I think we need to unfetter and untangle. This raises a lot of questions for legal counsel. One of the things that's most concerning is anytime that a voting body would rescind a lease purchase agreement, there's usually language there that the equipment that you purchase needs to be returned. So think through that and how we would work through that. So that's an essential question, but there are some larger that rise to similar levels about how we would untangle all of those pieces and what we'd be obligated to do and what we would not obligated to do, and maybe what it would cost the district in the end.
So stupid question, but like the HVACs and stuff that we
Right.
put in, like paying that back,
Taking them off the roofs.
like taking them off the roof,
The general principle in a non-appropriation clause is you are returning
everything.
the
Oh,
equipment.
man. Dawn, go ahead.
Oh, no, just envisioning that big crane out there ripping the roof up.
Did they save the roof?
I'll have to redo the roof.
I think Don's comment earlier is warranted here as well. I think there's gonna be more questions, but I
Yes.
think we need to think through those, and I think we need to present them to legal counsel. We need to get the answers, and we need to communicate those to the community. The last warrant, I think, was 11.
Yeah, 11.
Much more straightforward, certainly a lawful warrant. This is the one to rescind the fund balance retention that the board voted in at 5%, I think just a few years ago. And that's like the previous one, simple majority there, not a 3/5 like the tax cap.
And that was due to RSA change, where it wasn't the RSA changed up to 5%. So
Correct.
it was a change in the law, so it wasn't something the board
It was a change in the law that the board decided to adopt.
adopted,
Yes.
correct, okay. Jack, were you wanting to say something?
Less is more at this point.
Okay.
Never thought you'd hear me say that, huh?
Yeah. Surprise. But yes, okay, so, but further information on that, again, besides the 3 citizens petitions, we have our other ones that we have that are continuing to run. As we get dollar figures, we'll start right now currently in the articles, they have X's that are highlighted, and then those will get changed to the dollar amounts the closer that we get, and we have those locked in. And again, this will be something that we continue to see up until voting time. Yeah, Jack, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I feel like I need to say this, even though I think everybody knows this. There's an awful lot to unpack there.
Oh, yeah.
There's an awful lot to unpack there, so I would be up to, if we have to have an extra meeting or two along the way, to
Oh, yeah.
having those. We gotta get this right.
Oh, yeah.
We gotta convey the impact to voters properly, and that takes some thought.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, again, this is gonna be a running agenda item, so every meeting that we have, we're gonna be speaking about it, and more information we get, we'll be speaking more about it. But yeah, everyone needs to understand what the implications are for these. Any other questions about the draft warrant articles, or any of the information that Mr. Krieger just presented to us about these? Yep, Bree, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, can people still make warrant can they still submit warrant articles?
Citizens petition, yes,
Citizens
yes.
There's a date specific to that.
Yeah, I think it's for all warrant articles, but yes,
Right,
yes.
that you can
Do you know what
send
that's
one in.
Do not, but we can find out.
I think it's like the second week in December.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Up to administrator's report.
All right, administrator's report tonight is gonna be an interactive report, so I'm gonna hopefully stimulate two pretty significant discussions for you.
Okay.
We'll do that toward the end. The first thing I'd like to point out is that this past Tuesday, we had our massive professional development day here in the district. Centered on UDL, Sandy opened up with some words to kind of shape everyone's mindset. And I will let you know that there were 19 individual sessions through the day that staff could opt into to be flexibly learning where they're at their own readiness level about this type of professional learning. And every administrator was involved in facilitating those small groups through the day. So just symbolically looking at the agenda, teachers are having choice. We're modeling what's happening there. They're taking their own entryways into there. And then they see that the full administrative team is fully behind that, engaged in that learning with them and facilitating alongside them. So super powerful day. I really appreciate it, Sandy and your team. Wanted to inform the board, I finished meeting with all the Board of Selectmen. We just were in Atkinson this past Monday with Don and Jack. I really feel that they were fruitful. We've had some follow-up from members of the board and the board chairs as well since then. So I just think it's really good for stimulating future conversation and sharing information with everybody. A couple of dates for everybody. December 5th, we are going to be holding the school board meeting in the PAC. To remind everybody, that is the date that the New Hampshire School Funding Project is going to be joining us. We're going to have a very limited business agenda, hopefully that evening, and a majority of their time, at least 45 to 60 minutes, will be around the New Hampshire School Funding Model. All of those invitations have been extended to every Board of Selectmen for towns. They're also extended to every member of BudCom, and we're going to have an invitation for our admin team as well. So December 5th, we'll be locked up in the PAC there. There'll be more information for the public to come out. We'll solicit some questions beforehand so that members of that project will have those in advance and kind of speak out to those that evening as well.
Are we also going to have it to where there's going to be opportunity for people who attend to be able to ask some
on-site with
questions?
mics, yeah, absolutely. Other date, I think is December 16th. That's going to be the joint meeting with BudCom. We'll confirm that, but I'm really 99.9% sure there. And again, we'll be discussing the impact of the warrant articles that evening. And lastly, December 19th right now is when we have tentatively slated the Early Childhood Ad Hoc Committee to present to you as a board and let you know where their findings are with regard to the 4 or 5 kind of central things we asked them to look at.
Okay.
I want to thank you, Justin, for coming to the Atkinson Selectmen's meeting with us. And I think we'd like to make that an annual event.
Yes.
It was very, very well received.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Lastly, talking about a lot of money things over the last few weeks, we wanted to point out we've had a couple grants trickle in. They're all the robotics grants. Wanted to recognize Atkinson Academy and Sandown North in the middle school. Between them, they're looking at $25,000 of federal and state monies that they pulled in to run robotics with their kids at no cost to the taxpayers in the district and creating an opportunity for the kids in their school. So really helpful that they're doing those things. Here's the conversations. Let's talk about position reductions first.
Are each of these a packet?
Each of those are a packet. They're 2 pages, and I do apologize that we didn't do it in front and back for you.
No, that's okay.
First page is just writing. Second page is the table. Essentially, what I'm going to present to you tonight is at the request that the board considers that we've looked at our open positions, that we have assessed our current needs with students, and as best as we can, we've projected into next year what those needs will be. And we've balanced all of that with the ongoing conversation around contracted services. As we look at those open and vacant positions, I feel comfortable recommending to you tonight that to eliminate 13 support staff positions and 5 professional staff positions. That will result in a cost savings of $727,522. That includes salary, FICA, and retirement in the upcoming proposed budget. With that vote here tonight, I would be able to bring that adjusted cost item to BudCom when Maria and I present the personnel budget report later in the coming weeks.
And so these are positions that you stated do not hold a body, and they have been unfilled for several years.
They do not hold a body. We don't project that they're gonna hold a body next year.
Right.
We're not looking to advertise and hire. Some of them, just the specific job codes may have been filled in,
Right.
but the title, yes, there has been some longevity of really dire difficulty hiring. And I wanna be really clear, this also protects the district against all the contractual providers that were using some of those salary figures to pay for.
Okay.
This has been really put through the comb
Okay.
by some really good organized people in our district to make sure that we are not taking from anything that we need here, which is why I can say with a lot of comfort, I can bring this slate to you tonight.
Yes, Bree.
Sorry, can I just reiterate that? So I know we have depleted the current slotted position funds before going into contracted service funds. And you're saying these do not affect that?
These are not slated for contractual services this year or next year.
I see salary FICA retirement. And it's just a question, is insurance, projected insurance cost, would it have been built into it?
It's not, and here's the reason why, because people are not in this position right now. So there isn't any impact on the budget for the insurance line to these specific
Thank you.
job codes.
So in total, we're looking to cut 18 positions.
Yes.
13 the support and then 5
Yeah.
professional.
Yeah, and I think one of them's a half, so maybe 4.5, 1, 2, 3, 4.5 professional.
Mark.
If you and your team you did what this board charged you to do and looked at positions that have been vacant, some of them historically, if you are confident that this is what we can do, and quite honestly, it's a slightly larger chunk than I had expected, and still provide the services that we are aiming to, I thank you for your hard work. I just need your thumbs up on this.
It's my name's at the bottom of this sheet. Recommending.
I will take that.
I don't think he'd do this if he wasn't sure.
I'm saying for the public, yeah.
I am too. All right, so then Jack, go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you. So this is great. It's great work. Listen, do we know what the balance of those unfilled positions, which I am sure we are trying to fill, are?
Not off the top of my head, but we could
Okay,
certainly
I just
generate that number.
thought I'd give it some perspective. But thank you.
If we make this motion, can we just say the 18 positions, or do we need to say the 13 support staff and the 5 professional staff?
Again, I think we're putting in here for the attachment that you can just reference the graphic here.
Okay.
Because we're very specific about the job code, which is the most we can drill down into a position. It's identifiable for us.
So would you, go ahead, Shawna, you got it.
I make a motion to reduce the number of staffing positions by job code listed on the summary graphic at the close of fiscal year 25. And thank you for your efforts and
May I please second that?
Yeah. Motion by Shawna, seconded by Mark. Again, thank you. You know, we charged you to go find cuts and you did, so thank you very much. Dawn, go ahead.
When I look at the school psychologist position, I see, I just wonder what are we providing now? What are we sustaining? What do we have in terms of school psychologists?
Not enough of our own people. Many of them are contracted. One of the things we're able to do is with a contracted individual, there's actually more output at the end of that. They're not part of a CBA. There isn't a protected time for them during the day. They can work outside of the contractual hours. So in terms of meeting needs, there's some more we can do there. We'd rather, again, not do that. We'd rather have our own people and initiate them this way. But that is one of the trade-offs with these pieces here.
Jack.
So I look at speech pathologists and I just know how long we were trying to get them. They don't exist. I understand that. But when it comes to things like that and what Dawn just spoke to, when we contract it, and we talked about this at the selectmen's meeting, it costs us 2/3 more to do that. If all of a sudden we found that someone that could fill that position, do we have the ability to get away from that contracted service, which is costing us a hell of a lot more, even though we've gotten rid of the position? I guess is if someone walks in and says, hey, I'm a speech pathologist looking for a job, can we get away from that contracted service and hire that person, thus saving the district money? Maybe that's.
The answer is yes. Most likely, there's going to be some common language that would be standardized across those contracts, despite the vendor, that there'd be some penalty for breaking that contract.
Okay.
They have a
Just-
no-compete clause.
Yeah.
Most contracted related service providers have a no-compete clause. with the company
That's
they
the
work
second wrinkle. Like if we find a contracted person that we really, really like and they really, really like us, there's usually a non-compete clause in that stuff where there are, a payment from the district to the vendor in order to have that person kind of join the Timberlane team.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
All right, a motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. All right.
Okay, conversation number 2 revolves around CIP. And again, I am looking for the board to engage in a discussion and give me some direction with regard to the upcoming budget recommendations through BudCom. First, a little history. The CIP line in Timberlane has historically been around a little north of $800,000. Very recently, the board made a decision to change that amount and increase that line by about $1 million, so that the line currently stands at $1.8 million. And that was done around the same time that the district also engaged with a $25 million lease purchase agreement.
Yes.
What will be coming out of the CIP committee meeting group for our recommended projects for fiscal year 26 are 3 of them. One is the beginning of high school work on their bathrooms, and that's tagged at $500,000. 2 is the Atkinson Belfry project, which is tagged at a little less than $700,000, with the pending LCHIP grant to be hopefully awarded in full very soon. And lastly, the third project that came out of committee was the pretty much the exterior fencing here on the main campus, and replacing that metal fencing with the black type of fencing. So that's bringing you around 1.3 or $1.4 million. Those are the projects coming out of CIP. You've got CIP's history. We're also now engaged in a lease. We've had visits to the 4 towns to hear from the Board of Selectmen where folks are at. What I'm looking here is what number the board would like me to bring to BudCom in the CIP line. And again, historically, very recently, it's been $1.8 million. I'm asking the board to have a conversation tonight. Do we want to continue to move forward with that model? Or is there any deviation from that model at this point that could be temporary or more longstanding? I just do not want to continue to repeat what was done the previous year without first bringing it to your attention and encouraging conversation.
Jack
So
and Kim.
being on the CIP committee when it first got started, the whole reason for that is administrators bringing their request to the CIP committee. In light of the fact that we found out what we did about our facilities and it needs so much work, I almost feel like it should be the other way around. What drives the CIP amount should be the amount of work that needs to be done. And what that CIP committee does is basically organize those things and prioritize them, and they act as they do some of the due diligence for the board, so the board doesn't have to. So you could very easily, I like the 1.8 million because even though it's a little bit aggressive. Now, once that amount of work gets addressed, I could see that amount going down. But that 500,000 just touches the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the bathrooms, fair analysis of that.
Yes.
The envelope of the building, which you guys all, I know you want to laugh, but that's important. We're looking for a budget number for that. I think that could be incorporated in that. I mean, we could go north of that number as well, but I think we stay consistent. I think that is driven by the amount of work that needs to be done. And that number should come back from the CIP to the board. That's historically how that's kind of always been done. When we start having to look for things to do, then we will know that that number needs to come down. That's just my feeling on that, but I could double that number pretty quick in a blink of an eye, but current economic situations would make that really an ice pick in the eye, so
Kim?
I forget what I was gonna say.
thank you.
Sorry, hold on, it'll come back to me, keep talking. Don?
Yeah, one of the things I appreciated about the CIP process over the years was a chance to get things out and expressed publicly about the condition of things, and not necessarily that things had to be done immediately, but as you have things aging, deteriorating, creating a risk over time, you want to be able to, plan when you are going to make these, things right with some sort of a reconstruction or whatever it's going to be. So I do think that there's something that has to be flexible in terms of it's not always going to be the same. You're going to have to assess your needs every year and look at the CIP plan and make adjustments based on changing conditions.
I remember.
Kim, go.
Justin, can you remind me, the Belfry, $700,000, is the grant offsetting that $700,000 or is it?
I think the maximum grant allocation is $220,000 is
So it
the
could
number.
change it by $200,000?
Yeah, it could be a big swing,
Okay.
but not all of it.
Okay, and we don't know for sure.
We won't know until the middle of November.
November 19th. I remember that day. It's half of the second phase, and the second phase is $500,000, so it would be half of that amount, roughly.
Mark?
If we get it all.
Instinctively, had it not been for the citizens petition that made a hole in the lease, my instinct would be to decrease that number because we have some lease monies available for those urgent projects. However, if that goes away, I don't want to find ourselves in the position that created the need to get a lease in the first place, which is defunding, the maintenance of our properties for the Belfry. We could have saved $1 million had that been addressed up front. We didn't, and it's costing this district, $1 million+ because we neglected our properties. So I'm really kind of conflicted with this one.
But another thing with that is that if the 2.5% cap happens, right?
Oh,
Then we'll
God,
have to, but no, we'll have to cut.
We'll have
And
to
one of the
cut.
things that'll cut would be CIP, because I would rather cut
right,
1.8 million out of that than positions.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jack.
So just to that point, I'm glad you brought it up. That's always been historically what we've done. If you want the level fund, take it out of the CIP line, and then guess what? Now we're paying $15 million of interest because we had to take out the lease. So let's continue to make that same mistake twice, I think, not. The second thing is, the CIP isn't a list of things we're gonna do this year. It's a 5-year running, things are projected out 5 years. So you can move things up, you can move things back. It's really a flexible document. And I would just ask people to consider, if we move things up, say, that are in the second, third, or fourth year, it's a cost savings to the district because of inflation, right? You're gonna pay, if you look at the construction price index, any of those types of things, the sooner we can get it done, the better it is for the students. And most importantly, better off for the taxpayers. That's the way I kind of look at this. I would love to have never have had to take out the lease. I would have loved to have our facilities top notch, but it is costing us money because we didn't have the foresight to look at these things. So I think that CIP, although an exercise to a point, is an important living document as a way of saving the district money.
And I see your point, Jack, but should some of this stuff not be in the facilities budget? Because a lot of CIP, I see it as a capital improvement plan. So it's like a one-time thing of things that aren't failing, but we would like to improve them.
There's a mix there.
I understand that, but again, you've got a facilities budget. The facilities budget, they should be looking at the maintenance of our buildings and looking down the road and being like, hey, I need to maintenance this. I need to put money aside in my budget to do that. And it's like, so I understand what's the CIP, what it's been used for, but has it been used the right way? That's.
What I would say to that is, I have sat before the budget committee in the past and sat before this board down over there and said there are models out there kind of address what you and I are saying. A certain percentage goes into the general maintenance, a certain percentage goes into fixing up things at the end of the year, and then 1%, it's all based on your the total cost of your assets. It's a percentage of that. And then 1% goes into your major, new roofs, the fencing around here that's just dangerous. It's a life safety issue in my estimation. So there are models, and I think that should be time that we spend kind of looking at those types of formulas, which are incorporated across the country. So there's no guesswork involved in it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, facilities is actually doing a replacement. We're looking at every single nut, bolt, screw. Am I right, Justin? And we're doing what's it called? Help me with this. It's called a facilities audit. Thank you. Say it myself. A facilities audit, so we have a more structured and more predictable way of managing our money and managing the assets. So, and until we get there, this is our best thing.
So then, Justin, the only three things that are coming from CIP to this board are gonna be those three things that you mentioned?
Those are the three projects, yes, that came out of CIP
And
currently.
that's about what, 1.3 million?
1.3, 1.4.
Didn't we?
And those are the dollar figures that are attached to them right now. There aren't any, more specific numbers than those right now. They're placeholders.
Didn't we leave that open-ended, that we were gonna go back, take a second swipe at this?
Yes, I think our next meeting is middle November. Is it maybe late November?
Before the budget committee
Yeah, I mean,
presentation,
they'll
right?
meet through December, so but that's where it stands now.
So that list is for next year's budget.
Fiscal year
And we're
26.
working on next fiscal year's budget, so can't we just match the two lines?
What do you mean?
We could.
So whatever our recommendation is right now.
Like, it's 1.4
let's say
million,
it's 1.4.
then that's what we put to CIP line.
And so then that's what it would be.
And then also too, it's the very three specific projects.
Mhm.
There's no,
Well, that's not true either. Those things on that CIP are recommendations to this board. The board then has that pool of money, because inevitably, every single year, something else, a septic system failure or a roof leak or something like that, and all of a sudden now you're juggling those monies around.
I get that, but should those monies not also be in the facilities budget? Should there not be monies there for if a septic line or something goes down? I mean, I get it, there's some unpredictable thing happens, but
Are they? I don't think you can't predict those things.
no, and I mean, I understand that, but CIP has been with, like, last year, like we had the football lights and we ended up not doing it. And we're hearing from our taxpayers and stuff like that. They're like, no, we want, needs versus wants. So it's like, again, to Bree's point, would it not be better to say, these are the three projects we're gonna do? They're really needed, like the high school bathrooms. That's what we're gonna budget for. And if next year, this is what we need and it's 1.8 million, then that's what we put into our budget.
So
It's better
I would argue,
management.
the point, not argue, I would discuss the point that, the look of the building, as far as I know, hasn't been addressed. We don't have a budget number. And I was kind of looking for it to be determined based on the research that hopefully is currently being done in some of the meetings that we have had as a group. So I would say we still have time to make that type of decision based on any type of new information or data that we get. I think I understand where Justin's coming from. We're trying to tighten it up, which is fair, but I want it to be accurate and for me, at least, this one board member, this is about getting the work done. Let's get it done. Let's get it done as fast as possible so we don't have to deal with this stuff anymore. And I think it's, from an economic standpoint, it makes sense. You can pay $300,000, get something done next year, or $400,000 the year after that. Just
Bree, go. Oh, wait, no, sorry, Kim, go ahead, sorry, that was Bree.
When is the last time we saw the CIP list? What's on it? And projects that are not affiliated with the lease, but on our CIP radar? Because before I can recommend moving the dollar amount, I'd like to see what's on it and what the priorities look like.
figured somebody was gonna ask that.
Yeah.
Talking with Katie and Mark, we thought that this was gonna be kind of an introduction and we wanted to kind of revisit, let people kind of chew on this, get any other information people need. And there's no rush, then that doesn't need to be a clear direction tonight. We can bring it up
Okay.
again in the next 2 weeks as people continue to talk through this.
Do you have a CIP meeting in the meantime?
Yes.
I don't know if it's between that, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
So just to bring something to the board to look at would be great.
Mark, go ahead.
I know Doc Martin was going to be looking at other options other than the one that we had seen for the envelope of the building, so we can do a pros and cons and weigh the options and what the cost associated with would be. And the result of that may help direct us as a board as to whether that becomes a priority trumping something else, or unfortunately, that's something for another day. But until we have that info, we can't
You
make
have a
those
number of
decisions.
options there. You could do a warrant, you could do it out of the CIP, you could, there's 100 different ways you can do that.
So I would say have your CIP meeting, bring it back to the board. And I mean, all arguments are great and I see everything that you're saying, Jack, but just it's one of those things of the arguments is does it belong in the CIP line is the thing.
I'm just one of, well, the envelope of the building is definitely capital improvement, so I couldn't really imagine that being anywhere else. If we wanted to expand the scope of work on the bathrooms, that for me is just a cost savings to the district getting it. It's always economy of scale when you do something like that, so. But I'm only one of 8, as far as one of 9, as far hard as that is to believe.
Well, I think we've had some good discussion. Bree, go ahead. Last comment. No, last comment. Go
Better
ahead.
discussion.
I just, to Jack's point of you're a doer and you wanna get the work done and it needs to be done, absolutely. But I just think we need to be mindful of how much we can feasibly do and how much we can ask the taxpayers to contribute each year. And that just needs to be into consideration, because yes, we could easily put that CIP at 4 million, like you said.
I'm not suggesting at all to go over what we have kind of agreed is that 1.8. I just wanna make sure we don't leave anything off the table. And then ultimately, it's up to the taxpayers, really.
Did you have anything else you want to say? All right, so we've discussed this, I believe, pretty good first discussion. So we'll have your CIP meeting, bring us the list, and then we'll.
Sounds good. We'll share the list in the interim, so you've got that in front of you for a long time. And I'm taking away kind of 6 points of feedback, and we'll continue to discuss it on the admin side too.
Okay, great.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Any other administrative report?
Nothing?
All right. Personnel report. Looks like we have 2 nominations and 1 resignation.
Make a motion to accept the professional nomination of Lisa Peterson, social studies teacher at Timberlane Middle School, and Jamie Dupuis, special education teacher at Sandown North.
Have a motion to have a second? Second by Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained.
And make a motion to accept the professional resignation of Jeffrey Petrie, PE teacher at Timberlane Middle School.
A motion to have a second? Second by Mark. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, he's one of the best teachers I've ever seen work in PE in my career. He was phenomenal and creative and energetic, organized, and I appreciated working with him when I had the opportunity.
High praise.
Any other discussion?
You've made a big impact on the McCormick family too, so we hate to see him go. But best of luck to him.
All those in favor? Opposed? And abstained. All right. Let's see. Fran, did you have anything to add for our vacancy report or anything? It is what it is. Okay. All right, I'm gonna start with committee reports. Start with Jack.
I don't have anything. I don't think.
Okay, Helen.
I am looking forward to, when we present the ad hoc information and, where we stand as we look at all the things that have come in over time working on that committee. It's amazing how much, I think, sincere input we're getting from parents and community members about, the potential for, full day free kindergarten and, future of, even other things that might affect even younger kids down the road.
Yeah.
So, just thank people for their input.
Yes. For me, budget committee, we met, was it 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago, man. It's been a day. So at that meeting, we had the middle school principal, their budget present, the high school budget present, the athletic, and I believe the music, performing arts. Yeah, all right. So all the elementaries were beforehand. Again, at the next one, we're gonna be talking about some of the positions. Is special education for this one, or did it get moved?
I think it's the 25th.
Okay. And then also too, we will get the clarified date for when the joint budget and school board are gonna meet. I highly recommend all of us that can attend, please do so. Other than that, that's it.
Okay, facilities met on the 28th, talking about the next phase of the lease, trying to prioritize, looking at the roofs. There are still two sections of the main campus roofs that have not been replaced yet that need to be. And even though we determined that the PAC roof is at its expected end of life, it is not currently leaking. It is not currently, we believe, in fear of leaking. So we have elected not to replace it at this stage, just trying to be as financially frugal as we could be. Recently, as many of you know, we had some major smoke in the air, and we had a couple schools complaining about the smoke, that the conditions were unhealthy and distracting. Fortunately, with the new air handlers we have, we were able to, via iPad, change the air handlers so it recirculated the air within the school rather than drawing it all from outside. So that's a side benefit in addition to efficiencies that we didn't expect we would get from our new technology, but it certainly has worked. We had a good discussion regarding putting the grounds to bed. We have an opportunity to save considerable money if we prepay to the tune of $7,700 and accept an early delivery of those products. So we essentially store them, which led to a conversation of getting an extremely modest storage shed so that we could do that in the future and protect our equipment from the elements. Then on 10:30, the ad hoc kindergarten committee met, as Mr. Woodworth had alluded to. We've had listening tours, great amount of teacher feedback. We're currently looking at the numbers of our current enrollment for half day and full day. We are looking for additional community input. If you go on a lot of community Facebook pages, there are links that you can flash with your phone or direct links. We're looking for more feedback from the people in the district. We've had a lot of positive feedback from some parents who have derived benefit, feedback from administrators and teachers who have seen the benefit of the students in their charge at the lower levels who have had the benefit, but we want to hear from greater community members. So if you're listening, jump online. If you need those links, we can certainly provide them to you. We want to hear from everybody, so it's truly a community input to help us guide the direction that we end up going. We will be again reporting in December. On 10/31, the insurance committee met, and we had members of representing the TTA and the TSU. Essentially, what we're doing is we're spending a heck of a lot of time looking at our current health insurance and looking at options for potential health insurance in the future. This has not been done in a decade plus that I'm aware of, and we're looking to see if there's a feasible win-win. Win for those folks who are getting the benefit of this health insurance. We absolutely need their buy-in, but also potential cost savings that then could be, to the benefit of both those who are directly receiving the health insurance, our teachers, our other professionals in the school, as well as the taxpayers with a slightly hefty tax bill. So that is ongoing. It's been surprisingly easy and non-contentious working with the different unions because we're all on the same page as to the goal we want to accomplish, and we need each other's buy-in. Let's see, on 10/28, we have negotiations with food services and the custodians union. It was our first meeting. We set some ground rules. Our team met again on the 4th to discuss some of our counter proposals. We have another meeting set up for the November 13th, 21st, and December 5th. That's it for me.
That's a good report. Yes, Jack, go ahead.
Nice report, but I just want to tag on to the facilities.
No, but. Go.
I've been very kind to you the last couple of days. Jesus. Just a couple things. On that storage shed, there's another thing that potentially could get on the CIP. Brad from Banwell Associates, he's the architect that's worked with the district. was gonna get us a budget number. So, I mean, that's what he did say, right?
Yep.
You guys were there.
Yeah.
The other thing was putting the fields to sleep. We talked about doing the work to the grass versus doing the work to the infields of the softball and baseball fields. We were told that there's a lack of manpower to get that stuff done. I would again recommend calling the Lawrence Laborers Union, because that's a readily very high-end group of laborers that they have it's called a B agreement, so it's you pay less in Southern, they have a special rate, a lower rate for Southern New Hampshire, and they have a lower rate for municipalities for schools. So it would be a much reduced rate, and I think it pretty much corresponds to what we're paying. I don't know the particulars to it, but I think if we're not getting the work done because we don't have the manpower and we're working on surpluses, the money's clearly there to support getting the work done. Once again, I'd like to make a recommendation that we explore that opportunity.
Or maybe we just use all those great youth custodial facilities / whatever we go.
Anyways, moving on, Shauna.
In-house.
The next wellness committee meeting is scheduled for January. For policy committee, today we were able to get through all 6 items on the agenda, with some that need to be circled back to and tabled conversations so that we can reach out to the experts in the district to get their input, which is extremely valuable, but we will be moving 3 policies to the board the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Kim? Curriculum assessment met this week. We did a first read for a pre-K writing curriculum. And we took a real long look at the program of studies, 25-26 program of studies. And that will come to our second read will be on December 3rd. And then it'll come to the board on December 5th for the first read. So there's a lot going on with that, and Marcus is doing a lot of really hard work and really drilling down on a lot of different courses, and he's taking so much into consideration with every single thing he's done. So it's very interesting. It's great discussion. So we're looking forward to bringing that to you. And that's pretty much it. And union negotiations with Mark and ad hoc kindergarten stuff is really interesting to talk to families, getting some input from the Board of Selectmen at the meeting with Justin from Danville. That was interesting too, and it was a great different take on things that we hadn't looked at or talked about, so that was interesting too. And that's it.
So to follow up on that a little bit, we did have some very interesting conversations around the Project Lead the Way program and engineering opportunities in general that are decreasing for our students and are more difficult to find people that will take those jobs, and the impact of what that will mean for students moving forward in terms of the types of course selection decisions that they'll have to make. People certainly who are heading towards engineering programs are going to need the same types of skills. They're going to have to have good math skills. They're going to have to be, decent students who work hard no matter what. So that it's not like if they don't take a Project Lead the Way course, they can't go into those fields. But so we're exploring different ways that they can perhaps access programs like that, whether it's through Salem or Pinkerton or an evening division opportunity that we could create, or a new course that could be taught in an alternative way, like an independent study. No matter what it might be, we are looking for creative solutions to kind of a problem that's not unusual for schools our size, because it's really hard to have a school that shrinks from 1,500 to 9-something and then sustain all of the special programs that you've created to serve the needs of a larger community. So as we move forward, I look forward to hearing what Mark accesses in terms of opportunities for kids. But I think we have to be ready for some reduction, in what we offer. The program of studies will reflect some different choice options for kids.
We're also on that, we're aware that the 5th will be sort of a tight agenda.
Mhm.
But we do want to be able to, after the 3rd, get that to everyone on the board, so as quickly as possible, so that you can give it a read and that we could possibly get it on the 5th agenda. It probably wouldn't take up a lot of time, but there's some reading there on the program of studies where, classes archived, a couple added, couple deep six there, so it's possible we'd like to get that on for the 5th. Be a quick agenda item, but
Yeah, and I mean, the 5th is a regular board meeting, so I mean, yes, we wanna keep it as a tight agenda item, but things that need to get put on to make decisions so that it can better, our students and stuff it's gonna happen. So if we're there till 10, 11 o'clock at night, that's what will happen, so.
perfect.
Kim, did you have anything to add to your?
No, just that we'll work really hard to get that information to you guys so that you have it, so that you can read it before, so we can have our discussion.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank
Bree?
CIP next meeting is November 18th, Monday, 6:15, I see the boardroom. And then strategic planning, next meeting is Thursday, November 21st, and the location will actually be in the high school library. That's the boardroom, is for negotiations or some other conflict that day. So that will be the next meetings, so I have no updates.
Okay. Paul?
no facilities and CNA was already covered, so I'm good.
Great. Any other business? Yeah, Jack.
I'm sorry, I really am.
It's okay.
Just a couple of things. I would love to see, last year we got the RFP, we got it out for the care of grounds in March, I think it was. By then, all those companies already have their businesses slated for the summer. I would love to see that go out again, to see if we could muster up something for twofold. One, I think it bears the exercise of fiscal responsibility, and two, it would free up some of our folks to allocate doing different work. So I'd like to see that done now. And the other thing is, last year I kind of suggested that any possible project that we were looking at, that we get budget numbers for those before the end of the year, and then around the March, April timeframe, do the RFPs for those things that we choose where the budget numbers fall into place. Because we're always kind of, and this is a busy time of year, you got the budget, you're getting ready for the next year. I mean, there's a lot on everyone's plate. But we sit there at the end of the year with no opportunities because we have no RFPs for any of those projects. So I just think it makes sense to make a list, find out what those budget numbers are, and then proceed with the proper RFPs in a timely fashion. So at the end of the year, we can pull the trigger on something and it makes good sense, and it makes good sense for our residents and the taxpayers that we're in a position to do so. Just something I needed to articulate.
Great.
Just piggybacking on that, I think that would come into play with the CIP list that we're potentially bringing forward. And that might be a good, some things
In
to flag
addition
as a
to.
board to initiate maybe some RFPs off of.
Any other business? Do we have any other delegates or individuals? No. All right, we are gonna go into a non-public. Shauna?
Make a motion to go into non-public under 91-A:3 subparagraph C.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Mark. Can I know. Can I get a roll call vote?
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, roll call to go
Oh,
into
yes,
non-public.
yes.
Sean? Yeah. David?
Yes.
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 Kim?
Yes.
Yes. Paul?
Yes.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Have a good evening.
We'll only be back just to seal the minutes.